Blake Lively's lawyer has officially quit after explosive new details made defending her legally and morally impossible.
Everything is falling down for you guys because people perceive you as bullies.
Daniel Keene exposed 64 emails and 17 draft filings that revealed Blake's lawsuit was nothing more than a fame-fueled PR hoax.
We actually want all evidence to come out that's proper and appropriate evidence.
Even her own legal team couldn't stomach the manipulation anymore.
How the New York Times actively vouched for the veracity of its false narrative.
On May 30th, the man cracked. I mean, absolutely snapped. He didn't just resign. No. He leaked 64 internal emails and 17 legal draft documents straight into the hands of Baldoni's team, like he was blowing the whistle on a government conspiracy. Except in this case, the only criminal was Blake Lively's ego. And what did those emails expose? Nothing shocking for anyone who's been following Blake's Delulu era lately. Turns out, this wasn't a case. This wasn't about truth or justice or any actual legal harm. Nope. This was a full-blown PR screenplay, written and directed by Blake, with her husband Ryan Reynolds executive producing from the shadows like a Marvel villain with a Wi-Fi connection.
That you're not defined by anything any man has ever done to you or will ever do to you, that your identity is you and you define that.
And I really wish I were joking, but one of the actual legal filings had Deadpool GIFs in it. Another referenced BuzzFeed headlines. I mean, what in the 2014 Tumblr is going on here? Blake didn't want to submit legal arguments. She wanted to submit viral content. She thought filing a motion was the same as writing a tweet. This woman actually believed that quoting a meme would sway a judge. No wonder Keene said, "I'm out."
Oh, it was monstrous what she did, and she's got to pay for it.
Live birth porn.
And let's not forget Leslie Sloan. Now, who is Leslie Sloan, you ask? Just Blake's publicist. You know, not a lawyer, not trained in law. But guess what? She was editing court documents. That's right. A woman who probably runs Pinterest boards for red carpet looks was the one finalizing federal filings. And you want to know the best part? Even Taylor Swift backed away from this disaster after getting hit with a fake subpoena. Taylor didn't say a word. No statement, no support, just silence. That's her way of saying, "Girl, you're on your own."
Right now, if Taylor had one wish, it would be that she never met Blake.
So Blake, once the so-called Hollywood sweetheart, has now become the courtroom's ultimate red flag. Her legal team is ghosting her. Her friends are ghosting her. Her public image is in a body bag. And all she's got left is a stack of embarrassing memes disguised as legal claims and a husband who's apparently never heard of the word boundaries.
3 out of 8 employees filed legal claims against Blake Lively.
But wait, it gets dumber. Because Blake, being the mastermind she thinks she is, decided that court filings should have headline moments. Not facts, not evidence, headlines. She literally ordered her team to add phrases and buzzwords designed to go viral. That's not a theory. That's in Slack logs. Yes, they were color-coding emotional buzzwords so they could tug at heartstrings and trend on TikTok. I am begging someone to tell Blake that federal judges are not the target audience of Instagram Reels. One of the filings actually started with the line, "I am the Jane Doe of modern Hollywood." I'm sorry, what? This isn't your personal essay for a Teen Vogue op-ed. This is court, real court, with laws. But Blake didn't care. She was busy creating what Daniel Keene, and I quote, called legal theater and narrative litigation. That's lawyer code for she's completely lost the plot. And even after being told to stop, Blake was like, nah, we need to keep narrative momentum. She literally demanded that 3 new celebrity-adjacent names be added every cycle. Not because they had anything to do with the case, but because she needed tabloid traction. She was treating lawsuits like press tours, just throwing names into the legal blender to keep the headlines spicy. But the final nail in the coffin, the absolute moment Daniel Keene knew he'd rather represent a parking meter than stay on this case, Blake tried to submit edited text messages from 2018 as evidence. Edited. And I don't mean redacted for privacy. I mean, metadata showed they were completely altered, fabricated, and she wanted her lawyer to file that, under oath, to a federal court.
And it's just odd because the 99.9% of these documents and these text messages are in this data form that are extracted from Cellbrite, which is a data extractor forensic tool.
And Ryan Reynolds? He didn't help. He suggested throwing Deadpool quotes into the filings. Let me repeat that. Ryan Reynolds thought Deadpool quotes could be used as a legal strategy. You can't make this stuff up. And you know what Keene said in return? This isn't a press junket. This is federal court. Which is probably the most patient, composed way of saying, are y'all actually stupid? And then, I wish I were joking, Blake proposed a motion blaming Hugh Jackman for influencing public opinion. Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, because apparently his positive comments about Baldoni somehow tilted the scales of justice. There were no quotes, no evidence, just vibes. That's what we're working with here. Vibes-based litigation. Now at this point, even Keene's own law firm partners were like, dude, what is going on? So they ask him, why are you quitting mid-trial? And he says, and this is real. This isn't a case, it's a PR campaign in legal costume. That man was done. Spiritually, mentally, legally, done. He walked into a courtroom and walked out of a circus. But he didn't go quietly. He dropped a resignation memo so brutal it should be framed. It was titled, "This Will Destroy You," addressed directly to Blake's and Ryan's teams. Inside, he warned that what they were asking him to do violated multiple sections of the American Bar Association's professional code and could trigger federal scrutiny. I mean, when your own lawyer warns you about possible criminal investigations, it's not looking good. And yet Blake still thought this was all part of some boss babe redemption arc. Sorry, Blake. You're not starring in a courtroom drama. You are the drama, and not in a cute way. Daniel Keene didn't just resign, he escaped. He got out like the building was on fire and Blake was holding the match. And now here she is, alone, exposed, and lawyerless. Because when you spend more time picking out tabloid phrases than preparing legal arguments, even your lawyer starts planning his exit like it's a jailbreak.
This, to me, just proves that this was the plan all along.
The fact that a seasoned, well-respected legal professional with decades of reputation behind him decided to leak documents to the opposing team says it all. This wasn't a client worth defending. This was a client you run from before your career goes up in smoke. And honestly, I feel bad for Daniel Keene. Imagine studying law for years, graduating from Harvard, building a clean record, and then finding yourself having to argue that Deadpool memes and Hugh Jackman fan theories are somehow legally admissible. That's not a lawyer. That's a hostage with a bar license. Let's talk about the legal disaster that Blake Lively calls a strategy. This woman had the audacity to file over a dozen motions like she was entering a BuzzFeed quiz contest, not a courtroom. And get this, 2 of those motions were Rule 11 sanctions. That's legal code for, you're annoying the judge with nonsense. But wait, it gets worse. These weren't just poorly constructed, they were literally copy-pasted, as in Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and then sent to a federal court. Imagine thinking you're about to win a $400 million lawsuit using recycled Google Docs. And what came next was the kind of mic drop moment that should have ended her entire charade. A 170-page document dump. Yes, 170 pages of texts, emails, receipts, and digital footprints that proved one thing with absolute clarity. Blake Lively was the aggressor. The same woman who paraded herself as the fragile victim, the misunderstood muse of pain, was exposed as the manipulative storm behind the scenes. Every PR stunt, every media leak, every poor me headline, completely dismantled by her own digital trail. And honestly, I'm not sure if the judge laughed or cried when he reviewed her filings, but what we do know is that he labeled her behavior a drama queen routine. This wasn't court anymore. This was theater. Bad theater. Off-Broadway, no tickets sold. Critics walked out early. Blake turned the courtroom into BuzzFeed. The sequel. with the legal IQ of a high school improv group on caffeine. But the real comedy? Her use of group pleading. And if you've never heard of that, don't worry. It's just as lazy as it sounds. She threw names like Jamie Heath, Melissa Nathan, and Valden Inc. into her case as if she was picking random LinkedIn profiles. These people had zero connection to her supposed trauma. No direct involvement, no evidence, nothing. Just collateral damage in Blake's headline-hungry mission. She literally turned the lawsuit into a tag yourself meme. If you've been in the same room as Justin Baldoni, congrats. You're now a defendant.
Back in December, Blake sent out a press pack to different media outlets and provided them an attachment of screenshots that were never actually submitted to the CRD.
And because Blake never stops digging, she went after Brian Friedman with emotions so empty the court basically said, "Ma'am, this is embarrassing." The judge called it legally hollow and denied it without even blinking. She didn't just lose, she was publicly rejected by the very system she tried to manipulate. Honestly, the only thing she's managed to file correctly so far is her own reputation into the courtroom's trash bin. Now, let's move on to the most ridiculous chapter in this whole saga. The fake therapist subpoena. Yes, this really happened. Blake and Ryan tried to subpoena Justin Baldoni's childhood therapist. Not someone involved in the case, not a relevant witness, just a random therapist from decades ago who hadn't spoken publicly, wasn't on any list, and had absolutely no bearing on the present trial. But sure, why not? And guess who helped draft that multi-state subpoena? Ryan Reynolds. Because obviously, when you need professional legal guidance, you go straight to the guy who once played a farting superhero in red leather. The logic? They were trying to build some twisted, emotional pattern argument. A psychological profile based on nothing. No, seriously, nothing. Internal memos show Blake followed up 3 times in 1 week about that ridiculous subpoena. She called it pre-trial narrative shaping. Daniel Keene, bless his soul, called it what it actually was, legal terrorism. Because that's what you call it when you weaponize court filings just to freak people out. And Ryan, ever the PR genius, thought he'd frame Blake's trauma as performance art. Yes, he pitched the idea of using Deadpool quotes in court, and even tried blaming the caterers and Hugh Jackman for creating biased public sentiment. I'm not kidding. Ryan literally proposed blaming Wolverine for bad press. I've seen bad legal strategies, but blaming a movie star for vibes is a whole new genre of stupid. Blake, never one to miss a cringe opportunity, started demanding rewrites of motions to make her look like Boss Babe of the Year. Meanwhile, Keene, now operating as a hostage with a law degree, flat out refused to ghostwrite what he described as trauma porn. This woman wasn't writing motions, she was drafting Instagram captions. And then came the internal PR tactic that should be taught in clown college: shock and seal. The plan? Leak something spicy to gossip blogs first, let it trend, then file the court motion a few days later so it looks like the story was legit all along. This wasn't legal work. This was PR manipulation dressed up as litigation, and Blake thought she was slick. Girl, you're not Olivia Pope. You're just sloppy. By now, people weren't just uncomfortable. They were jumping ship like rats fleeing a burning yacht. Taylor Swift ghosted Blake so hard it echoed. After being subpoenaed in a fake stunt designed to extract personal data, Taylor said nothing. No support, not a peep. And when Taylor Swift won't even give you a passive-aggressive tweet, you know you messed up.
The Taylor Swift move. I could not believe it. Taylor Swift teaming up with Justin Baldoni.
And then there's Isabel Ferrer, once a quiet, behind-the-scenes legal figure, now mysteriously absent from all new filings. Insiders say she also refused to sign off on Blake's parade of lies and quietly noped out before her name could be attached to this train wreck. Meanwhile, Blake's brand partnerships are vanishing faster than her credibility. Luxury skincare, high-end tech brands, fashion sponsors, they've either frozen her campaigns or straight up cut ties. One insider confirmed that a major skincare brand put her ambassadorship under review on June 4th, 2024, just hours after Friedman's filing, exposed more of her behind-the-scenes games. But here's the absolute peak of irony. Her own PR team became legal liabilities. That's right. Leslie Sloan, the woman who was running Blake's image like a full-time job, was caught directly rewriting legal briefs for viral engagement. She was turning court documents into social media content, sprinkling hashtags and BuzzFeed-style flair like she was running a gossip blog, not facing federal judges. And now, Blake is so radioactive that 2 major law firms have flat out rejected her case. One cited conflict concerns. The other, in possibly the shadiest legal response ever, simply said, "We are not a media management firm." Translation? We're lawyers, not crisis PR interns. At this point, Blake isn't just lawyerless. She's an actual hazard. Even her PR manager probably needs legal counsel. The brand collapse is real. The courtroom is laughing. And the world? The world is finally catching on that Blake Lively isn't a misunderstood queen. She's the director of her own disaster. And honestly, no plot twist could make this funnier. She came in with designer heels and a smirk, thinking she could PR her way through a federal lawsuit. Now she's standing alone, surrounded by rejected motions, failed headlines, and the digital remains of her once adorable public image. And yes, the memes have already started. So let's start with Ryan Reynolds, because wow, has the man fallen from meme royalty to silent courtroom saboteur real quick. While he never signed a single court document, he still managed to attend every single legal briefing. Every one. Via Zoom, muted, always watching, like some Deadpool-themed version of Big Brother. You can almost picture him, sipping his matcha latte, watching the chaos he helped create, but refusing to leave digital fingerprints. Genius? Nah. Cowardly? Absolutely. And if you think he wasn't involved, I give you his very own words from a May 7th transcripted message. "We don't need to win legally, we need to win the internet." That's not legal strategy. That's influencer brain rot. He wasn't interested in truth, justice, or court wins. He was interested in trending. And that's exactly what he got. Just not in the way he hoped. Ryan actually suggested using celebrity testimonials, including quotes from Hugh Jackman and Rob McElhenney, as character evidence. Because nothing screams credibility like dragging Wolverine and the guy from It's Always Sunny into your federal lawsuit. Ryan thought, let's have celebs vouch for us. The court will totally buy it. Right. The same way the IRS buys excuses written on napkins. And then it gets real dirty. Ryan reportedly misused Disney's Deadpool and Wolverine promotional budget to finance a media smear campaign against Baldoni. If that's true, that's not just shady. That's SEC-level shady. You don't dip into Mickey Mouse's wallet to settle personal vendettas. That's how you end up in court for real. And not the meme kind. But wait, he wasn't done. A leaked court document even quoted Ryan saying, "The Deadpool audience is already on our side. Let's use that." So now the plan was to turn an entire Marvel fan base into a digital mob. At this point, he wasn't fighting a case. He was launching a cinematic universe of defamation. But while Ryan was playing PR puppet master, the real implosion was happening in the courtroom. And on Blake's face. Because now the California bar is coming after Blake's remaining legal team. Why? For knowingly submitting filings that were ghost-written by literal non-lawyers. We're talking influencers, assistants, TikTok commenters. Yes, you heard right. Someone actually forwarded a viral TikTok comment to include in a court brief. This wasn't legal work, it was courtroom cosplay. And Blake? She subpoenaed Taylor Swift's fitness trainer, claiming they might have witnessed abusive posturing. Based on what? A December 2022 gym check-in. That subpoena was so ridiculous it got denied on site. Even the judge probably rolled his eyes so hard he saw last week.
And giving the press what they need to know about Blake Lively threatening her, get her to come out. I have 10 years of text messages. Don't forget that I have 10 years of text messages come out in support of her. Wild times, and nobody can do a breakdown on that.
An insider memo from that same week said it best. If you submit this, you'll get disbarred faster than you can blink. Even Daniel Keene's old firm, the one that put up with all the trauma memes and BuzzFeed listicles, told him to pack up and walk away. Online, Blake's reputation is now a full-blown meme. One post showed a judge holding a Deadpool DVD next to a motion to dismiss. Another thread said Ryan Reynolds is officially the first Marvel character to get sanctioned in real life. And judges, they're now reportedly referencing SNL jokes that were included in actual filings. I don't know what's more embarrassing, the fact that it happened, or the fact that it wasn't even a funny sketch. But Blake didn't just lose a case. She turned it into the biggest joke since Amber Heard's tissue moment. Except worse, because this one came with Deadpool quotes, gossip blog leaks, and a multi-million-dollar PR campaign that backfired harder than a Tesla in the rain. And that brings us to the final horror show. Blake and Ryan, alone, exposed, and legally toast. Daniel Keene quit, Taylor Swift ghosted, Isabel Ferrer disappeared faster than Blake's credibility. Brands ran, fans ran, even lawyers now won't touch the case with a 10-foot NDA. And remember that May 30th leak? The infamous Reputation Tactics folder? It gave the court a complete map of every single manipulated filing, fake quote, and strategic media drop Blake and Ryan tried to pull. It wasn't just a legal misstep. It was a documented PR operation, a full expose of how two celebrities tried to weaponize fame to win a case they were clearly never meant to win. Ryan's joke, "We're either funny or we're guilty," has now aged like Blake's court credibility, badly. They are guilty in every meme that matters. Because no matter how many Instagram captions Blake rewrote, no matter how many Deadpool references Ryan dropped, no matter how many subpoenas they fired off at random, they still lost the one thing that mattered most: control. Blake is no longer seen as a victim. She's seen as what she actually is: a fame-hungry narcissist who thought the legal system was another red carpet she could strut down. Except this one had judges instead of photographers. And they weren't flashing cameras, they were slamming gavels. And the worst part? Daniel Keene may have walked away, but this mess? This flaming, viral, PR-engineered disaster? It's Blake's legacy now. And Ryan? He can hide behind his Mint Mobile ads all he wants, but he helped design the whole scheme. From the legal memes to the Deadpool-stained filings. This isn't going away for them. It's not over when the lawyers leave. It's not over when the brands drop. It's not even over when the court rules. It's over when the world forgets. And let me tell you, no one is forgetting this circus anytime soon. Because once you've turned your federal lawsuit into a BuzzFeed listicle and tried to solve emotional trauma with a Deadpool joke, you don't just lose the case, you become the case. And now, the judge isn't laughing, the court isn't fooled. And Hollywood's watching, popcorn in hand, as the entire Lively Reynolds empire crumbles one motion at a time. So now that Blake's legal fantasy has officially collapsed, what do you think? Was this justice served, or just Hollywood eating itself alive? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more real courtroom chaos and celebrity meltdowns.